Hello. In this session, we are going to discuss how to configure profile for an object. So in the software, the objects are added and based on that object, if you want to add the additional informations of the object, that can be done using profile configuration. So this option is available into setting in general into object screen. Currently we are onto the profile tab of the object screen. Here you need to do the configurations of profile. Let's try to understand each parameter, that is vehicle numbers need to be entered for the identifications of this vehicle. Also you can select the object type, that is based on the object type selection. There are multiple object types available. So as per your object type you can select it from the list. There is car, bicycle, bike can be used as well as truck and the assets can be selected as well. Now likewise we have categorized the object into two different parts, that is object category is in movable and immovable option. So movable are the objects which are running into the platform and the immovable are those objects that are genset based solutions which runs on a single place. So that can be selected and categorized in software. Now apart from that you can add the object brand, object model and actions can be defined into software based on the selection. Apart from that, you can enter the manufacturing date, that is, you can select the manufacturing date, purchase date, as well as the installation date as well. Now, likewise, you can enter the registration number of the object if available. Now, let's try to understand the other parameter, that is mileage based on distance and mileage based on duration. So, mileage based on distance means in 1 liter of fuel, how much distance the vehicle will run, and mileage based on duration means in 1 liter of fuel, how much minute the vehicle will run. So let's try to understand with the example that we have entered mileage based on distance as 19 kilometers and mileage based on durations as 20 minutes. So onto the fuel consumption report, which is available into the report in the fuel and in the consumption report, you can manually cross verify the consumption of the fuel onto this report. That is, over here you can find this object have traveled 18.40 kilometers, and based on that the fuel consumptions based on the distance, that is mileage based on distance per liter, that is 0.97 liter fuel has been utilized by this object. And likewise the working hours can be considered, that is mileage based on duration. So as we have mentioned the 20 minutes the vehicle will run into 1 liter of fuel. So accordingly 1.71 liters of the fuel has been consumed by this object. So likewise you can get the calculations of fuel consumption information from the system itself. So let's configure the profile. Now apart from this, we have the option to enter the VIN chassis number and engine number into software for the identifications and additional informations of this vehicle. Now let's try to understand other parameters, that is odometer, that you can enter the actual odometer informations over here based on the object, and accordingly when this vehicle will run into the software, the odometer value will keep on updating based on the travel distance that is covered by this object. Likewise, if any previous odometer value has been updated over here, that information will be reflected and also the update date and time information. So based on that, you can at least get the guidance that on which date what the odometer was been changed or modified. Now apart from that, we have the option for LBS detection radius. So LBS detection radius are the GPS devices that is not sent by the device, and the LBS supportive devices have the functionality in that case that they use to send the LBS data onto the server for nearest cell towers location. So, and in that case, you need to mention the radius between that the data that need to be received on a server. So, if you have entered 300-meter over here, then the radius is the data that is received within the 300 radius meter will only consider, and in case beyond the radius value will not be considered for the LBS data which is sent by the device on the server. So for that you need to use the LBS detection radius information and enter the radius meters. Let's check the another parameter, that is engine hour. So as based on some genset based solutions or agricultural vehicles, that can be work based on the engine hours. So in that case, you need to enter the engine hour that is available onto the object, and accordingly into software the engine hours will get calculated, and later on you can get the informations of the report as well. So engine hours need to be entered accordingly, and number of seats can be entered based on the object that is selected. Now let's try to understand the cost based on distance and a duration. So here you need to, based on the selections of a distance, you need to enter the cost, that is in how much in 1 kilometer, how much this object will cost to you. Likewise, based on the selections of a duration, you can define in one day how much cost it will be going to cost you, and also like the hourly basis. So that information need to be entered, as the currency informations will be reflected based on the selections of the user setting on the company. So that information need to be entered over here. So based on the entered information, that is 4 rupees or a dollar per kilometer information. So into software, if the fixed expense are added and based on that the distance are traveled based on a job, then the informations of total job cost will be reflected in software. So let's check that parameters as well. That is available onto the job report, that is report into the job and in the job summary. So here you will get the information, that is approx distance that has been covered by this object, and based on the expense and the job distance that is traveled and the cost based on distance we have entered, these or this trip of the object have given the total job cost information. So likewise the total job cost informations can be calculated in software. Let's configure the profile, that is try to understand the parameters of RFID time of duration. So in the software, if you are using the RFID based solution, that is RFID punch in considerations as a step in and a step out, then in that case, there are another parameter, that is based on the RFID tag scan and the vehicle ignition on, the considerations of RFID timeout durations need to be entered. Now let's try to understand in detail, that is RFID timeout durations is entered over here as a 120 second. So when the driver used to punch in the RFID tag onto the vehicle, and based on that in 120 seconds the ignitions are supposed to get on, then only the RFID considerations are considered for the driver in software. So this configuration is available onto the user setting of company. Let's check that. That is in setting in general on the company screen, you will get the user setting options, wherein driver consideration based on step in with RFID and step out with ignition need to be checkmarked. So based on this solution, the considerations of a driver is done into software according to the driver, that is RFID timeout duration that is entered in the profile. So this is the let's complete the configuration. So now apart from this, based on the selections of other object type, you will get the additional informations as well in the software to enter, that is object category type, that is solid, liquid or a gas, that can be entered. Load unit can be categorized into the software. And apart from that, you can also add the object load type, that is single load or a multiple load. Also, you can enter the max load capacity information and the object length. So based on this adding additional information in the future, based on this model development, these values can be considered. So this is how the profile for the object is configured in software. Thank you.